Hi, this is Adam Barton from Proxima Jornada, and you're listening to the Seleção podcast.
Bem jogado por Simão, a passar por dois adversários, Simão, a tentar oferecer o golo a Figo, e a bola é gol!
Posse de bola para Portugal, vai Éder, chuta! Gol!
Tenho uma Zundapp sem escape, pode ser que um dia eu tape, mas é assim que eu prefiro. Eu tenho uma mente bem moderna e o teu pai à minha perna, doido para me dar tiro.
And we welcome you to episode number 30 of the Seleção podcast, a proud partner of Portugal.net. My name is Danny Pinto. I am your host. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our latest episode as Liga NOS. We are back, baby. As normally you wouldn't be tuning into the Seleção podcast for some Liga NOS, Liga NOS talk, but given the fact that the Seleção is obviously still on hiatus and we are just getting football and soccer back in Portugal, I thought let's get something out so that our supporters and our listeners can enjoy and just to get their mind off of things that are still going around in the world, and we thought, hey, let's get someone on to talk about that with me here, and we're lucky enough to have Aaron Barton of Proxima Jornada to join us and talk about the return of Liga NOS. So again, can't thank you guys enough for joining us on episode number 30. Please, however you are enjoying the podcast, please spread the word. Whether you are listening to it via our website, selecaopod.com, whether it's on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play, any podcasting platforms that we are on, please spread the word there. And if you're on Apple Podcast, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating and a little note saying how much you enjoy the podcast. We would greatly appreciate that. And of course, I'll on our social media platforms as well, facebook.com/selecaopod, @selecaopod on both Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, you can always email the show, selecaopod@gmail.com. The intro today on this episode, a little different than normal, a little shorter in terms of highlights, but also obviously different music. We've been playing some Xuxa Putapej since the beginning of the podcast, with the exception of a few episodes here and there. But one of the bands that we have actually featured their music, it's Uzohms from the island of Terceira in the Azores. They reached out to us about a week ago in the hopes of us promoting a couple of their new songs. And for those who may or may not know, my folks are both from the Ilha da Terceira. We were all scheduled to head to Terceira to visit family for the first time for me in over 30 years. About 30 years. It would be the first time in 32 years since going back and visiting the isle of my parents' birth, and was going to take my wife and my kids. My wife actually is from the Ilha do Pico, from the Azores as well, and we were going to split time between both islands there. But obviously the pandemic has changed our plans for this year. Hopefully we'll be able to do that next year. But but the band reached out and they asked us to help support and promote two of their new songs that have come out in the last few weeks and few months. So it was a great pleasure for us to do that and to oblige that for them. The first song, the opening song, was Canção da Zundapp. These guys rock, man. It helps that they're from Terceira, but it's the music is good. It's a lot of fun. We played John da America a few months back when that one took the internet and Facebook and social media by storm, and we were definitely happy that one, they reached out. Always nice to have someone reach out and want to work with you and want to help with promoting their brand on our brand. So it's always good, especially when it's a great brand and band like Uzohms. And we'll also have a track from them to end the show at the end of the episode as well. So without further ado, obviously, we hope everyone is staying safe. Again, there was a mixed bag of reaction to the latest episode. Not so much with the content of our wonderful guests, which were Tom Kundert and Eric Krakauer, but everyone has their opinion of the pandemic, and I am one who has taken the cautious approach during this time. A lot of folks, not a lot, but there was a number of folks who, weren't thrilled or not believing much of it. And to each their own. I just hope everybody's safe and everybody's doing it as well as they can be during these kind of uncertain times. And obviously, things are reopening up around the country, around the U.S., and where we are broadcasting from, and obviously, with the Liga NOS starting up in Portugal. Portugal again has done a great job in terms of their response to this pandemic. But yeah, it's just been a weird time, and we're hoping that everyone again is doing well, staying safe as best they can, and if you're heading back to work, heading back to your normal life, that you do so as safely and as successfully as possible. Because obviously, there's people who are out of work right now, have been furloughed, who have been laid off, and are not collecting the amount that they were before prior to this pandemic. And hopefully, for their sake, they can get back on their feet as quickly as possible. But the Liga NOS, they are back. It's back. A sight for sore eyes for sure. The Bundesliga obviously opened up a few weeks, I would say maybe a week or two after our latest podcast, episode 29, when we were kind of trying to figure out still what the next few steps were. But yeah, Liga NOS is back. Some missed opportunities by the teams in the top two spots in Liga NOS. That, of course, being Porto and Benfica. As of this recording, they are now tied on points at 60 apiece. After Port's lost to Famalicão and Benfica's tie at home to Tondela. But we'll get into all that plus a whole lot more here as we were nice enough to get some time with Aaron Barton. Aaron, obviously the brains and brawn of Proxima Jornada, a great Portuguese outlet in English. Just another one to go along with so many. That we have had the pleasure of getting on here and having a relationship with. And Aaron spent a couple of minutes, no, not a couple of minutes, and 45 minutes with us. So he spent some time with us going over the return of the Liga NOS, plus a fundraiser that he created to assist the healthcare systems of both the UK and Portugal. And we'll talk to him about that and a whole lot more right here on episode 30 of the Seleção podcast. And as we head along here on episode number 30 here of the Seleção podcast, we thank you, all of you, for all your support and all of you for tuning in once again. We head over across the pond to our good friend Aaron Barton of Proxima Jornada. You can follow Aaron on Twitter. Let's first give the Proxima Jornada handle, Proxima Jornada at Proxima Jornada 1, PROXIMA JORNADA, and the number 1. You can also follow Aaron on his account, Aaron Barton UK. That's AARON BARTON UK. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the first week here of the returning Liga NOS, as well as some things that he has cooking here for some fundraising, and also some wonderful news about his work with Proxima Jornada that is being recognized, and rightfully so. Aaron, welcome back to the show. Great to have you.
Hi, Danny. Fantastic to be back on the show. It's been a while since the last one, and a lot of things in the world have happened, so looking forward to catching up on all things Portuguese football. Looking forward to it.
A lot of things have changed. What do you mean? Anything? Am I missing anything? Any big am I any world changing events going on in the last 3-4 months?
Yeah, just a couple.
Well, we are happy to have you back on and get you on to take a look at. I mean, Liga NOS it's back, and when we were sitting here in March, we really didn't know what the future of anything held. and here we are at the first weekend of June, and we are recording on a Sunday afternoon here in the States, Sunday night in Portugal and the UK, and the final match of the returning Liga NOS schedule is about to kick off in just about an hour between Rio Ave and Passos Ferreira. But Aaron, what has been your initial few takes of the returning jornadas in the Liga NOS with the league returning this past weekend?
First of all, it was mixed feelings really with it coming back, because obviously there was the questions of, is it ready, and there was lots of criticism about it coming back without supporters. But then I think the general understanding was that it needed to come back financially for those clubs, and that to get the season finished as quickly as possible would be the best thing for the country and for the league, and then come back next year with a fresh season going into the now postponed Euro 2021 tournament. But first reaction, just happy to have it back, really. I know that's a very selfish thing, I think, to say, is that a lot of people feel, guilty for enjoying sports given what's happening in the world. But first reaction was taking as many games in as I can, watching, all of, if not nearly all of the games. Like you say, the end of round 25 ends tonight. But I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. I think a lot of the games, the top games, have been slightly disappointing, but those games from those teams, the mid-table teams and the teams near the bottom, last night, for example, the Boavista game with the Moreirense, that was a fantastic game, very very end to end. Didn't see that one coming with the results, and then obviously the red card, the penalty miss. So lots of drama, lots of action, which is what we've become accustomed to with the Primeira Liga. So yeah, just really happy to have it back, to be honest.
Yeah, and being that Portugal and Liga NOS is not the first league to come back, I think kind of gives the league a kind of like a reprieve of making any kind of huge first time mistakes. Obviously, with the Bundesliga coming back 2-3 weeks prior, so far so good in Germany, and with everything going on around the world, soccer probably is not the first and foremost thing that needs to come back, but it is an escape. It is a necessity, as you mentioned, financially for some of these clubs. But I think just being able to enjoy something that we've been accustomed to enjoying our entire life, just having football back on our TVs, on our Twitter feeds, it had to be a good feeling for you as someone who covers the game, but just being a fan in general.
Yeah, definitely, and you make a good point there about someone who covers it, but also someone who enjoys it as a fan, because you watch these games with a bit of a dual personality. There's a duality going on there, because you're, first and foremost, you're a fan, you're a supporter, you're someone that you will just put on any game. Doesn't matter if you've got any affiliation to those two teams, and you're just enjoying the game for what it is. But then when it comes to putting on my Proxima Jornada hat on, so to speak, it's making sure that I can deliver, up-to-date news, and I've got followers of all of, if not nearly all of, the teams in Primeira Liga on my Twitter feed. So it's just making sure that it's up to date, it's accurate, it's impartial analysis, review, maybe minute by minute updates, and yeah, just treating it as work, as a job, but also just being so happy as a supporter, as a fan. Sitting there with, I've got my food on one side, I've maybe got a couple of drinks on the other, and just tuning in and just letting the football take over. And like you say, we've missed that over the past couple of months, and maybe if sport was there, it would be a bit more of an escape. But we haven't had that. The world has just been in such a weird place, and we haven't really had anything to distract us. So it's nice to have the Portuguese league back. You mentioned the Bundesliga. It's nice that people are taking an interest in leagues other than the ones they they're usually accustomed to. Now, I didn't watch too much Bundesliga before this. Obviously, I watched Borussia Dortmund for Rafael Guerreiro. I watched Bayern Munich when they're on TV, and obviously Eintracht Frankfurt for Gonçalo Paciência and André Silva. But other than that, not too much. But I've been taking in a lot more games just because, you know, they're there. They're on TV. The TV coverage has been maximised, and so, you know, it's nice to take advantage of that.
You know, you mentioned when you got food on one side, a couple of drinks on the other. I'll ask Aaron Barton, the fan, not the journalist, of the utmost integrity. What does Aaron Barton, the fan, like to have with a meal when watching some football?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that before. It depends, really. I'll give you a couple of answers. So, Aaron Barton, the supporter, people may know my club in England is Everton. So Everton FC, I have a season ticket, so I go to watch Everton every fortnight at home. So my ritual is a little bit different there, because I'll have, you know, a couple of beers maybe before the game, and then I might have one at half time, and then you'll then sometimes go to the pub after, to the bar, and discuss the game just with a couple more drinks with people, what went right, what went wrong. Or, you know, usually it's what went wrong. So yeah, but then at home, if I'm watching a game on TV, to be honest, I won't really drink an alcoholic drink. It might just be I might start off with maybe a soft drink, so like a Dr. Pepper or a Coke or something like that. Just something that I can have, and when my team are getting beat, it's a nice relief to be able to just take a sip and escape for a few seconds. But yeah, I'm a sucker for the soft drinks, the fizzy drinks.
Nice.
As we call them here. I don't know, what do you call them over in?
Well, we call them just sodas.
Sodas.
Soda. Yeah. I myself am I love a good Coke, a Pepsi, any kind of cola, but yeah, I usually try to myself watching. I'm a Tottenham supporter, and you know, with when Jose Mourinho was hired on, I'm like, all right, if we're gonna lose Pochettino, we're gonna have the special one come in. I'm all right with that, but he's kind of led me to drink a little bit more of the of the alcoholic drink, instead of having just trying to enjoy a nice Coca-Cola while I'm watching Spurs. But we're talking with Aaron Barton of Proxima Jornada here on episode 30 of the Seleção podcast. Thank you very much for you guys tuning in and supporting the show as always. Aaron, let's get into this round of 25 that has resumed here in the Liga NOS. And Porto came in. FC Porto came into Thursday, I believe. Was it Thursday or Wednesday? It was Wednesday.
It was Wednesday. Yeah, it was the Wednesday the 3rd. Yeah.
So
we had two games that night.
And they had an opportunity to extend their lead to 4 points. They took on Famalicão. Not only did they not extend the lead, they took a 2-1 defeat on Wednesday. Come Thursday, Benfica with the chance to take the lead back after just a dismal end to their first part of the season prior to the stoppage in the season, and they were home to Tondela, and they failed to take the lead outright. They did have a 0-0 0-0 draw at home, so they're both sitting on 60 points with 9 matches left. Who do you think, in your opinion, I guess came out of that worse for wear?
I'll tell you what, Danny, it was. I think everybody expected after that first game, after the FC Porto and Famalicão game, that Benfica had turned this poor run of form around and put themselves in pole position. And I think it would have been hard then, even with 9 matches to go, because Benfica would have had that momentum. It would have been quite hard for Conceição's men to sort of get them up, because as long as Benfica were winning games in pole position, there's nothing that they could do at the Dragão. But I think both teams will just be bitterly disappointed in a strange way. I think the happier of the two, despite being beat, might actually be FC Porto, because it went from looking like the worst possible thing on earth to then, and you know those players will have been sitting down watching Sports TV and sorry, it was SL Benfica at home, wasn't it? So, or Benfica TV and watching that game and watching it unfold and seeing them drop points when those FC Porto players probably had no hope of them doing so. Well, I've actually gave them a little bit of momentum. I think is to round up the players, especially in training after the match, and say, look, they had a chance there. We slipped up. We lost to a good side as well. Credit to Familcao. They're a good outfit, and I thought that the way they executed the plan to perfection, really. But I think maybe just to gather around and talk about how lucky they were, to say, we've got away with one there. Yeah, we're level on 60 points, and yeah, we don't have that buffer, that gap at the top anymore, but it could have been a lot worse. Now, if you look on the flip side, for SL Benfica, whereas Porto went in with high expectations, which were then, dashed because of the game, but then their expectations went back up again, high again. Benfica have went into this game, they saw Porto lose, they'll have been, over the moon, and then they did the opposite. They played out that match, and it feels like the trajectories just went right back down again, and it's they're down in the dumps a little bit. And then obviously the events after the game, which I'm sure we'll come to, you've got two teams that both had negative results, and obviously Conceição won't be happy, the squad won't be happy, but it could have been a lot worse. And I think that's the lesson that they're going to take from that. Benfica, it's a missed opportunity. It's a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, and and depending on how you look at the standings, I've seen Benfica in first and Porto in second based on goal differential. Obviously, Porto in I would say in the sporting sense, no pun intended, as they're in fourth, but in the sporting sense, they've beaten Benfica both times at Dragão and at Luz, and based on that, I think that they should be the outright. If there was a tiebreaker to be, that'd be the one to look at. And I'm a Benfiquista. I'm Benfiquista through and through. But if you're even on points and the team that you're even with has beaten you both times, I don't think you have a leg to stand on in terms of claiming any kind of league title. But off the field, obviously, the bigger news for Benfica was after the game, after their match, and their car, their bus being attacked. I won't call them fans because fans don't do that. Radicals do that, and being pelted with rocks and stones, and having two of their players with injuries, Julian Weigl and Andrea Zivkovic, both okay, but both with some injuries from the shrapnel from that. Just an ugly scene, and just especially in this day and age now, I've never understood it, but pelting your team's bus, putting those players and coaches and team personnel in peril. And then not only that, but then vandalizing not only Bruno Lage's home, but Pizzi and Rafa Silva, I believe, too. And I that's the part, Aaron. I'm just at a loss for words as to. I get there's passion, but that's to me that it's just over the line.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you started off that segment perfectly by saying you can't call them fans, you can't call them supporters. They are, they're radicals. There's no place for it in the game, and criticism is one thing. And as someone who watches football week in, week out, someone who has a season ticket, someone who isn't really used to success either. There is sometimes negativity, but doing something like that is just inexcusable, really. And I was sad, really. I remember I messaged a friend after, and I said, I just feel sad. Although it didn't affect me, it was because it felt like the whole eyes of the world at that point were on Liga NOS, and it, we came back, and in England especially, we had the Benfica, the Sporting, and the FC Porto game on TV, on free-to-air TV. So you had all these people watching, and I got lots of follows on Twitter and people following, like, the Proxima Jornada, he posts, updates on the Premier League in English, and, a little bit more attention on the league than we'd usually have, which is great. But then something like this happens, and it's like, it just makes a mockery, I think, of everything that, and Premier League gets enough bad press with the constant allegations of underhand tactics and these different teams being in cahoots with other teams, and just it's always seems to be shrouded in controversy for some reason. And then when it's the supporters that are causing this controversy, or these radicals putting stones and bricks through the windows of a team bus, which could have been a lot worse. Someone had to be driving that bus. I was thinking, imagine if it came through the windscreen, or the windshield, as you call
goodness,
it,
yeah.
And you just don't know what could happen. You hear about these things in the news, and then when it's happening to a professional football team that are joint first in this division, that have got 9 games to go, to, like, if you are upset, then that's fine. I don't think I know one Benfiquista that watched that match and went, yeah, that's fine. That I'll take that 0-0 against Tondela. No, it's not acceptable for an SL Benfica supporter. But there's ways that you can manage your frustration, and it doesn't have to be that radical. And then when you bring on the graffiti, the vandalism, to go to these players' houses and spray paint stuff outside, it's not just crossed the line. You can't see the line. The line's so far in the distance that it's been passed. It was passed when they put a brick through the window of the coach. This on top is just, that's where those players live. That's where their families live. That's where their kids live. Their wives live. Sometimes extended family, and
it should be off limits. It absolutely should be off limits.
I mean, 100%. The one thing I was thinking about when it happened is, I remember when a Portuguese manager, actually, funnily enough, Marco Silva, towards the end of his tenure at Everton, a lot of the supporters were getting really, really frustrated, and someone spray painted Marco Silva out on Goodison on the ground. And, like, I remember at the time thinking, it's a bit pathetic, like, taking your time out to go to the stadium or whatever. But now you compare it with the Benfica case, and you think, well, at least they didn't go to the manager's house or put a brick through a coach, or put a brick through the window. Obviously, the stadium as a case in point for when people arrive, they'll see it. They know what the supporters feel like, and sometimes you will see graffiti from time to time, and it's it can get washed off. But when you're actually spray painting direct insults, and you're leaving quite disturbing messages, I think it was the Rafa Silva one. I think it was, was it PT, and on the end it was like, you've been warned, or I'm warning you, or something along those lines. I can't remember what the actual terminology was used for, but it was like, really, warning signs using graffiti, and you know where these players live. When does it go from just fanaticism to actual, like, that's not acceptable?
Not at all.
It's just not acceptable.
No, not at all. We're talking with Aaron Barton of Proxima Jornada here on episode number 30 of the Seleção podcast. I'm your host, Danny Pinto. You can follow Aaron's multiple accounts here, Proxima Jornada 1 on Twitter. Also, Aaron Barton UK on Twitter. And it's proxima-jornada.com, where you can find all of Aaron's work, some interviews with not only current right back. Well, depending on how Fernando Santos wants to utilize him, Ricardo Pareia, but also Seleção legend Nuno Gomes. Aaron, real quick on Nuno Gomes, how did that come about, and what was that experience like?
The Nuno Gomes one was right at the start of lockdown, so we'll get into the charity walk in a bit, but this sort of ties in. Was because I was supposed to be going over to Portugal in the summer, and I was supposed to be staying there for a couple of months, saved up some funds, and I wasn't going to be working over there. I was just going to be writing and doing some freelance work. But it was more of just to get over there and experience it, and meet a couple of people. I've got a couple of contacts with a few different clubs. I was going to go and speak to various people, and one of the ones I was trying to organise was Nuno Gomes, and he runs alongside his brother Tiago Ribeiro. They've got like a players agency sort of thing going on. So I was speaking to Tiago first, and I said, even if we use that as the premise for the interview, I can ask him about, why he's went into sports marketing and sort of life after football. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. But the interview was a strange one, because so I sent over like a list of questions, and then I had a bit of back and forth with him, and he sent over sort of like a list of replies. So it was like an interview via email, which is it's commonplace. But I'd never done it before. I'd only ever to this point I'd only ever did a face-to-face interview. So that was strange. But then he recorded a message as well, a video, and sent that over to for a promo, and that was nice of him. And I've got to thank Tiago Ribeiro for orchestrating that. Like you say, I've interviewed a couple of different players now, and it's great. But yeah, to interview like you say, a Seleção, a legend, someone that's seen it all. It was some of his answers were fantastic as well. They gave a great insight into his career. So yeah, really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, N Players is the sports agency or sports management agency that he's part of. It was a fantastic interview, and just with him, I'm a little older than you, Aaron. He was one of the guys that was part of that generation where I started watching, really intently. Started watching the Seleção and started watching them in the big tournaments. Beginning in Euro 2000, when they kind of crashed onto the scene, and especially with that game against England, coming back from the 2-0 deficit, and he was definitely part of that big comeback, and obviously in 2000, 2004, that great goal he had against Spain to beat Spain and to get us into the knockout stages of 2004, but. You've interviewed Ronnie Lopes as well. That was a great interview as well. You can find all the interviews on Proxima-Jornada.com. Just click on the interview section. But let's get to the stuff that's off the field now. And obviously the world's been changing here in the last few months, and the COVID-19 pandemic has obviously had an impact on football, on life, on our day-to-day, including how you cover the game and how you approach Proxima Jornada now in a kind of a different way, even with the Nuno Gomes interview. But a few months back, you announced that you were going to try to raise funds, £1,000 to raise funds for not only the NHS in the UK, but for the Serviço Nacional de Saúde in Portugal, to support both of those organizations during these times, and I'll let you give all the information on how you can do that. But what kind of brought that about? I know you were planning on going to Portugal later this summer and working a little bit, but how did all that get started for you?
So it was just like first of all, it was disappointment that I wasn't going to be able to go over to to Portugal. I haven't been over now since November of 2019. It doesn't seem that long away, but I like to go over and sort of keep it fresh. And
Aaron, November of 2019 feels like years ago with everything going on the last few months.
Honestly,
it feels like a lifetime ago.
I went to that was the last time I was in Portugal, but in February I was in Germany for Leverkusen FC Porto in the Europa League, and that was like late February. That was like the 25th or the 26th maybe of February, and that feels so long. Like that feels like it was years ago. And I remember that COVID was being talked about in China, and it was sort of like, oh yeah, but it hasn't came over to Europe. You know, we don't know if it'll come over to Europe. And it was sort of like, you didn't think it was going to. At least I didn't. I mean, I was in Germany with thousands of support, and it hadn't hit Germany at this point. And I remember going home, and then we get into March, and then during March, that's when it was sort of like, this is real. It's like this is coming towards us, like, and there's nothing really we can do to stop it. So obviously, I was when we were locked down, and it was announced that the social distancing was to be brought in, and that all flights were delayed, and it wasn't going to be feasible to orchestrate some of the things that I wanted to do. So I just decided that it wasn't for the best to go. Sort of a little bit blessed in the fact that the Euros has been moved as well. So next season, hopefully I get to Portugal just after the Euros is finished, so I can do some post Euros coverage while the players are back in Portugal, maybe after the tournament. Obviously, Portugal's not one of the host cities, unfortunately. But so I was on Twitter one day, and a friend of mine, Sam, he lives in Dublin in Ireland, and I think he's half Irish, half Portuguese. He lived in Lisbon, and he's a Sportingista, a very fervent one. You know, loves the game purely from just a fan perspective. And he decided he was going to do something to raise funds, so he was going to walk from, I think it was Dublin, and I think his destination might have been just Alvalade, maybe. I think it was the Sporting Stadium. I'm not too sure. But I remember seeing that, and I was like, that's a really good idea. And I messaged him, and I said, Sam, that's such a good idea to walk that, cumulative distance. And he was like, yeah, you should do it. And I didn't want to feel like I was like stealing the idea, but I was like, no, I could, because I could raise some funds. I've got a nice Twitter following behind me, and I reposted his, and then I posted mine, and I thought, if we can raise the funds, I'll be more than happy. Now the location, the fact that I did it to Jamor, by the obviously the national stadium, the complex, is because I haven't visited yet. I haven't visited Jamor yet, and I've heard just so many stories from people that have visited and went and watched the Taça finals there, and it just seems like such a magical place. And that was somewhere that I was looking forward to going this season. Obviously, I can't, and I thought it's a nice, well-rounded location that everybody can get behind. Because obviously, if I'm walking from Liverpool to, I don't know, say the Dragão, or I'm going to one of the Lisbon clubs, or Braga or Guimarães or something, it's sort of leaning towards one club, and some other supporters might think, well, it's got nothing to do with my club. But I thought, if I do it to Jamor, we can all get behind it, Portuguese and English, and obviously those North American supporters and the supporters around the world that know how special our game is. And it's been going well. So I've got an app on my phone which tracks walking, running, cycling, like a fitness app. And yeah, every time I head out, I'll just set it to whatever I'm doing. So today, I did 36 kilometers on a bicycle. I drove to Everton Stadium. Maybe it's because I'm missing it at the minute, but that's about
They'll be back soon enough. They'll be back soon enough.
Yeah, that's about maybe 7 or 8 miles from which is about maybe 12 kilometers. And I went to Anfield, Liverpool FC's stadium, and through the city centre, and just all the way home. And it's nice to be able to finish these walks or rides or runs and see the distance and know that we're heading in the right direction. Obviously, the funds are going to the 2 different health services, both in Portugal and England. And again, that was because although the majority of my readership are English speaking, hence why they follow me, they can get Portuguese news in Portugal. But I also have a lot of Portuguese speakers and a lot of Portuguese natives who follow me, and I think that's quite nice, really. Sometimes when I see these people that will live in Lisbon or Braga or Porto or down south in the Algarve or whatever, and they follow me, and I'm posting updates about the place that they're from in a language that's different to their own, yet they still follow me. I don't know whether they value my opinion on it or they just enjoy the work or whatever, but it's crazy, really. It's just, and it means a lot. So I thought Portugal's a place that has given me so much in my life ever since I can remember, since I was 7 or 8 years old. So it only felt right that I was to split the funds between the 2 health services. And like I say, I think we're on 960 maybe or 950 out of 1,000. So we're nearly there. So if you're listening to this and you think, I can only spare $5 or $3 or $10 or whatever, it will matter. It will all add up, because once we reach that total, I'm speaking to a couple of different companies in England at the minute that are saying that they might be able to get the funds matched. So if we can raise the 1,000, we might have 2,000.
Oh,
so
that'd be wonderful.
1,000 each. It means I'd be able to send a nice transfer, a nice check to Serviço Nacional de Saúde to say, here's £1,000. I don't know what in euros that'd be, but this is, and even if that doesn't happen, even if we only manage £500 each, then it's still fantastic. So yeah, if you're listening, I'd say, if you can spare a couple of dollars, a couple of cents or whatever, then why not?
Yeah, go to justgiving.com/crowdfunding/Proxima-Jornada to go to Aaron's fundraising page. He is close. He is less than 20 pounds away. So roughly about $25-$30 US to get to that goal of his. And the Seleção podcast, just while you were talking, just made a donation towards your cause, because it's an amazing thing that you're doing. There are different ways that we can all help, and not only you're living in England. Obviously, the passion for Portuguese football is rampant for you, and to recognize what's going on in Portugal too is a wonderful a wonderful gesture by you, and we're happy to contribute. Although it not a huge amount, but what we can, and just great work on your end, and we're glad to be a small part of it.
Thanks, Danny. Yeah, I've just got that notification just came through there. Thanks very much. And like you say, it brings us just that bit closer. And even the amount you donated, you didn't even have to donate that much. Just whatever people can donate is perfect. And I know lots of us are in difficult predicaments at the minute with work situations. Being. I know in England we've a lot of jobs have been staying at home and receiving what's called the furlough, where they'll receive like 80% of their normal wages and they don't have to come to work. But even still, they're missing out on 20%, and lots of people are, especially those freelance workers, a little bit stuck for, there's no work coming, and there's nothing to write about with, especially when the football wasn't here. I know it was a tough time, so I just think, if you can spare something, then that'd be great. But if not, then that's fine also. The best thing, which a lot of people I've noticed on Twitter have messaged me and said, look, I'm really struggling at the minute for finances or whatever, but I'm going to retweet it. I'm going to share the tweet. I'm going to push it out, and then hopefully someone who does have, $20 or $10 will see it and donate. And that's fine as well. That's completely fine. So yeah, I'm looking forward to completing that. Even when I raise the funds, I'm going to obviously continue, and I'm going to walk the run and cycle that full distance. And then next year, I hopefully will be at Chamor, and I'll be able to do it for real, to make that pilgrimage.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll make sure to retweet the fundraising site and the fundraising fee that you sent me before the show, and we'll make sure that all the listeners have a chance to get to that, because I know it was tweeted out a couple months back, and we want to make sure we get that to the forefront of everyone's purview here to get you to that goal. And whether you can get that matched or not, I think is irrelevant. The thing is that you're trying to help out agencies that are being taxed at the moment. I know the NHS in the UK has come under a lot of stress and just trying to get as many folks treated and try to get as many people back to their normal life after contracting COVID-19. And Portugal's done a pretty good job, but obviously still it's a small country, and any kind of tax on the healthcare system is too big. So just a wonderful kudos to you, and just great job on doing that. The one thing or another thing that we wanted to get, because Aaron's a busy guy, when he's not getting his kilometers in, and he's not talking with Hall of Fame kind of players like Uzohms and up and comers like Ricardo Pareia and Ronnie Lopes. He's being recognized for his work at Proxima Jornada. So we wanted to get him on to promote and get everyone aware who hasn't been aware. Because if you're following me, you're more than likely following Aaron. But we want to get him as many votes as possible through the Football Content Awards. And Aaron, you are one of 8 finalists, and Proxima Jornada is one of 8 finalists that has been nominated for Best New Content Creator at the Football Content Awards. So talk to us a little bit about that and how the listeners can help you out.
Right, so I feel like I'm just on here making pleas today.
Well,
like one of those,
as long as you're
commercials.
As long as you're polite, I think you'll be all right.
So this one is basically the Football Content Awards it's dubbed like the what do they call it? Like the Oscars of football in England, in the United Kingdom. And basically they have a whole host of different categories, and you have categories for players and teams, and also the main focus is on content creators. So you'll have best content, best podcaster, best match day vlogger. There's so many different avenues that people go down now to report on football in different ways, because there's so much out there that you have to be a little bit different. Now, a couple of months back, well, I feel like it was I think it might have been about 6 or 7 months ago, you could vote for anybody in any of the categories, before they was a finalist. So you could give a respective podcast or YouTube channel or journalist a vote, and then obviously those with the most votes go into the finals. Now, I received a notification one day, and it was a Twitter vote, so you can also like hashtag to vote, and the tweet is like, I am voting for insert name in the hashtag FCAs for new, it might be like new podcast, new content creator, whatever. I got a notification saying I am voting for Proxima Jornada 1 in best new content creator, and I was thinking, what? I'm not up for any award. Like, I'd heard of the Football Content Awards and I followed them on Twitter, but I thought, I'm not up for an award. You can't vote for me if I'm not up for an award. So I've clicked on it, and then I've realised this is the preliminary, sort of just like, the qualifying. So I was like, well, I'm never going to gain enough nominations to make it to the actual nomination where you have to pick from a list of 8 people. So I pushed it for a bit, maybe pushed it for a couple of weeks, and I searched the hashtag once, and I saw lots and lots of votes for lots and lots of different pages, and obviously the football world's a massive community.
Absolutely.
So I didn't think too much of it, to be honest. And then I got an email and a Twitter DM as well off the Football Content Award recently saying, "Hi Aaron, you have been selected as one of the finalists for Best New Content Creator." They gave me details for the events. They give me details for, you know, how to game vote, how to, you know, push the name out and who I'm up against, sort of thing. So again, I sort of have this, I'm quite nonchalant, really. I have like quite a blasé attitude towards things, especially when I'm not expected to win. So again, I've sort of got the same attitude, which isn't great because, you know, I should be thinking, yeah, I am going to win. But I know I'm up against some massive, massive, massive channels. So this is where the listener comes in. This is where you come in. And now, unlike the previous thing, the charity walk, that means you've got to, you know, actually commit to donating some money and you know, trying to locate your credit card and typing in the numbers. And I know sometimes it can be a bit of a hassle, especially if you've got, you know, limited funds. Whereas this is literally a click in my, it's in my pinned tweet on Twitter at the minute. So you click the link, it'll take you to the Football Content Awards, and you have loads of different categories. Now you can click on those categories and you'll see lots of names, you know. So if you go on, I don't know, like best content, there'll be some, you know, huge channels on there, and you can vote for whoever you want. But when you get to Best New Content Creator, you'll see lots of English orientated channels. So I think there's a couple of Manchester United fan channels. I think there's somebody who comments on the just Premier League, maybe the Championship. I haven't had a proper look yet, but it's very English based, as you'd expect with it being in England. But then there's little old Proxima Jornada 1, which is obviously is my channel and my website. Now the thing that I keep telling people is, yeah, it's a vote for me and it's a vote for my website, but it's also a vote for Portuguese football, because I'm the only person representing our sport. I'm the only person that's representing the league and the Seleção and our managers and players abroad and our clubs when they're playing in Europe, and trying to give and gain these interviews and just sort of trying to provide a good source for Portuguese football. Now, obviously, it's not highly covered in England. It's you know, almost exclusively not at all. There's a couple of some great writers in England who I follow, and we've all got a really good relationship. Really, we're all in like a big Twitter group chat, DM sort of thing. But there isn't a lot of us, and especially for this awards, there's just me who's up for it. So they've all got behind me and said, you know, he's one of our own. Let's push it. So, you know, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can log on and you can vote. I don't know what the deal is with multiple voting. I assume it's not allowed. But if you can vote and then copy and paste the link and put it in a WhatsApp chat or a Facebook Messenger chat or iMessage or however people like to share this information, you know, a click, 30 seconds, if that, a vote, and then it means, you know, on that day in November, if I'm announced as a winner, then it's sort of like Portuguese football is being recognised in England, which is just incredible, really. And the award show, Danny, you'll be pleased to know it's being held in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yes, it is. I saw that.
So I imagine it'll be a very plush event.
Say hi to Jose for me, please.
I will. I'll pass on your regards. So it'll be nice. Like I say, it'll be nice to be there. I need to sort out my tickets and travel, but you know, hopefully I'll be there. And even better if I can walk away with the award, and if I do, it'll be because of not just those in England, but those people around the world, those people of Portuguese heritage, those people in Portugal themselves, and just try and get as big a push as possible. I'm not sure when the voting ends. That's something.
I have it right here.
Really.
Finalists voting will close at midnight on Thursday, June the 18th. So we are recording on the 7th of June. So we have roughly about 10, 11 days for you guys to go to footballcontentawards.com/2020-voting. Go to Best New Content Creator and make sure you vote for Aaron Barton and Proxima Jornada. And this is not Aaron saying it. This is me saying it. Everybody else in that category but Aaron, they're crap. Don't vote for them. It's give the Tuga response, give the Tuga support to an honorary Tuga in Aaron Barton and his wonderful work over at Proxima Jornada. See, I said that, you didn't. So just nothing will come back to you, Aaron. Don't worry.
I didn't see it. but you're right about the Tuga support. If you can all, I like to think that I get behind the Portuguese for 365 days of a year. So it would be nice if they could also get behind me for 30 seconds. That would mean a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll make sure to get that information out to everyone once we get this episode out. So. Aaron, I can't thank you enough for coming back on, and obviously I had lots to promote, but you're doing great things, and I'm glad we were able to get you on to get all that stuff promoted. Your vehicle a little bigger than ours, but every little bit I hope helps for you, and just to get you back on to see that there's Portuguese football back on the field. Who knows when the Seleção will get back on the field? I know that we were scheduled to have the friendly in Spain against Spain in the last couple of days, and I think the last friendly was coming up on the 9th prior to the scheduled Euros around Europe in this summer, but that obviously postponed until next year. And but whatever it is, we're here to help you and support you however you can. You've been great to our show, and we're very happy to return the favor. And all the best to you and everything going on in Proxima Jornada and everything in your life as well.
Yeah, thanks very much. And like you say, just touching on the Seleção, whenever Fernando Santos men return, be it next year or whether they still play behind closed doors or whatever, I'll be more than happy. I'll come back onto the show to have a nice talk on the international football, maybe some tactics and player choices and stuff. Cause I'm aware that we today we didn't cover too much of the football, obviously, because we haven't had a lot to talk about, and especially the Seleção podcast. But you know me, Danny. All you have to do is give me a message, and I'll be happy to come on and help.
Well, just make sure you win the award. If you don't win the award, I'll lose your number or something. I don't know. Go get that trophy. Me. Listen, go get a trophy. Yeah. Go get a trophy in that stadium. God knows there's not a trophy coming into that stadium anytime soon. So go get us that trophy in that stadium, Aaron. Come on.
Yeah, I know. We would have won the Euros this year. So
clearly
we'd have been lifting a trophy. So obviously that's been postponed. So I'll lift one instead, and hopefully that softens the blow a little bit.
Absolutely, Aaron. All the best to you, bud. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Danny.
And our thanks once again to Aaron Barton of Proxima Jornada for joining us on episode 30 of the Seleção podcast. Give both he and Proxima Jornada a follow on Twitter at Aaron Barton UK and at Proxima Jornada 1. Check out all his great content at proxima-jornada.com. Remember to cast your vote for Proxima Jornada for Best New Content Creator for the FCA's, the Football Content Awards. Go to footballcontentawards.com/2020-voting and cast your vote for Aaron and Proxima Jornada. And of course, you can support Aaron's fundraiser in supporting Portugal's Serviço Nacional de Saúde and the National Health Service in England by either, at the very least, sharing or going to the site and donating. justgiving.com/crowdfunding/Proxima Jornada. That is a lot of plugs there for Aaron. He even pointed it out during the interview, but he's a hardworking young man. He's only 24 years of age, and he's providing Portuguese soccer and Portuguese football fans a lot of great content, and the sky is the limit for him. I really, really mean that. And so please give him as much support as you possibly can in any way you can, and make sure that you let him know what a great job he did on our show, episode 30 of the Seleção podcast. That will do it for this episode of the show. We thank you very much for listening. As always, remember to like, follow, and share all of our social media platforms. Facebook.com/SeleçãoPod, at SeleçãoPod on Twitter and Instagram. You can email me, seleçãopod@gmail.com. And, of course, check out everything we offer on our website, seleçãopod.com. Subscribe to us via Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play, and any other podcasting platforms that you are currently hearing us on. And if you wouldn't mind leaving us a 5-star rating and a nice review on Apple Podcasts, I would greatly appreciate that. It's absolutely free to do, and it helps out the podcast tremendously. But most importantly, everyone, we need you to stay safe. We need you to be as safe as possible, whether it be during this pandemic and as we've seen here in the States and somewhere in some other places around the world. If you're participating in the protesting of racial inequality, please do so as peacefully and as safely as you possibly can. It's so important to get our voice out there, but it's also just as important to do so as safely as you possibly can, so that the message does not get lost in any kind of violence and any kind of negativity that may come from that. So with that said, this has been episode number 30 of the Seleção Podcast, a proud partner of Portugal.net. I have been your host, Danny Pinto. We leave you with another song from Uzohms to close out the show. You can follow them on Instagram at Uzohms. That's Uzohms. Facebook.com/Uzohms. And you can find their music and their music videos via Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. These guys are a lot of fun and put out a lot of great music, and we're happy to provide you with their latest effort to close out episode 30. Vai brincar com a Pombinha Pareia. That's something that I never thought I'd sing nor say on this podcast. But anyway, folks, Força Portugal!
Se corresse já maratona, eras o melhor do mundo. Numa corrida de 100 metros, deixas o Bolt em segundo. És o dono da verdade, senhor da cabeça aos pés. Eu cá só queria ser metade do que tu pensas que és. vai!